Hi everyone, OT Nikki here from Action OT for AT Fridays. As some of you will know, Em and I were off down at ATA in Melbourne last week, and after that I was actually at the Rotary International Convention, which was also in Melbourne, as I am a Rotarian. And so today's product for AT Fridays actually is a Rotary product. So when I was at the International Convention, I came across a stall by an organisation called Wheelchair for Kids. Basically, Wheelchairs for Kids was started by Scarborough Rotary Club in Western Australia in 1996, and they make a rough terrain wheelchair that's designed and made here in Australia, and it's specifically designed for children with disabilities in developing nations, so countries overseas where there are huge numbers. It's estimated by the World Health Organization there are 10 million children worldwide that need access to and don't have a wheelchair. So the aim of this Rotary project is to enable kids to have access to a wheelchair that will grow with them and enable them to attend everyday activities that you and I take for granted, such as attending. So basically, Wheelchairs for Kids, they manufacture around 300 of these wheelchairs every month. They have capacity to manufacture a lot more of them. They're only limited by their fundraising and their donations. The vast majority of people who work on the wheelchairs are volunteers, which is how they keep their costs down. So essentially the vast majority of the costs associated with building and making these wheelchairs is for the parts themselves. Then they all get packed into shipping containers, sent overseas. And what I found was really cool is that they've actually recognized the need to have an OT set up these wheelchairs now, because obviously when you're looking at people with significant physical disabilities, if you give them a wheelchair that's not appropriately set up for their needs, then you can do more harm than good. So they're actually fundraising now as well to make sure that in the developing nations where there's no OTs readily available, to send OTs over to actually fit these wheelchairs when they arrive for these kids. Incredible organisation. The wheelchairs are actually fully adjustable, so they're designed for children from age 4 and up. These children have, very significant physical disabilities, and so the wheelchairs are designed that the wheelchair will actually grow with the child. And whereas a wheelchair here might only last a child, say 3 or 4 years, these ones are designed to last a lot longer. And as such, each kit is sent over with a little tool adjusting kit, and they aim for an OT to review each child roughly every 12 months. So it's important to note that often these children as well don't have access to standard medical care, so they're not expected to have very long life expectancies either, or if they do, often their growth is quite stunted. So I had a really great conversation with a lovely Rotarian from Western Australia by the name of Russell, and here he is overviewing one of the wheelchairs from Wheelchairs for Kids for us.
So it's got about 70 adjustments. It's 25 kilos, very strong. It's not a folding wheelchair. The tragedy is that a disabled child in village life in Southeast Asia or somewhere can be seen as a bad omen, more or less, and they keep them out of sight. They don't ever get a chance at life, really. But give them a wheelchair and they can go to school. They get pushed to school by other kids.
You're giving me goosebumps, Russell. Yep. So talk us through the components of the wheelchair here.
Well, it's made for rough terrain, so that's why it's a 3-wheel wheelchair, because if you have a 4-wheel, just big wheels and little caster wheels down, well, that's going to get stuck in ruts in the gravel and that. This will go anywhere. So it's got ability to have the footrest lifted up. They can be, if some children might need...
Okay, I didn't see that before, yep.
They lift up, and some children might have a need for one footrest to be at a different level to the other, depending on the problem.
And then you were showing me before how you can actually change the height from the foot plates to
all of this. adjust.
Yeah.
The reach from where the seat is compared to the wheel, that
Yeah.
can be moved forward if it's a smaller child. As they get bigger, it goes back. And it does have the ring, they might be able to self-propel,
Yeah,
but
otherwise
that's pretty...
you've got the push handles behind, yeah. And then
But-
you were showing me this all comes off, also the tray comes off.
Yeah, so that means they can go to school.
And you've got quite the...
That's the knee
leg
separator.
Yep, so the pommel there, that comes right off as well. Not with one hand, but with two hands it comes off quite easily. And then
Yep.
you've even got like the pelvic strap, and over there on the table we've got
It does
some
a chest strap
straps,
that goes around here. I should have put it
lateral
on.
support, that's right. And then the headrest can come off if you need it
And-
to.
And this is like chest support if they need that.
Yeah.
You don't have to put that on if they don't seem to need it, but I think they always need this,
Yeah,
what would you
yeah,
call that,
right.
the size support.
Yeah,
Keeps it.
depend on it, yeah.
So that was the rough terrain wheelchair, as with all the componentry shown to us by Russell. This is a list of countries they actually gave me to show the countries. Sorry, that's not very clear. But basically, I know you can't read that, but the huge list of countries that they've delivered wheelchairs to. 55,000 wheelchairs since they started in 1996, which is amazing. So, and all developing nations. So places like Kenya, where else have we got? Ethiopia, Fiji, Tanzania, Uganda, Vietnam, Zambia. So all these countries that, I just think this is absolutely an amazing project. So I guess the take-home message for this one is that it's an amazing piece of AT out there that people are building in Australia that's changing lives around the world. You can actually donate to their organisation. So it's wheelchairsforkids.org. The other thing that they do is they accept the aluminium can tabs from the top of aluminium cans, which we actually collect here at Action OT. So one of our clients' wives passes them on, so we drop them off at her house. So we often have people dropping in and dropping off a bag of aluminium can tabs, and they actually get sold to an aluminium recycling plant, and the funds that are received from that recycling are directly donated then to the Wheelchairs for Kids program. So one thing you can do locally is you can drop your aluminium can tags here off at Action OT, and we can get those over to the Wheelchairs for Kids team so they can use them in their fundraising. A great project. All right, everyone. Thanks for your time. I'll see you next week.